It's the country's #1 RVing radio show, sponsored by RVtravel.com, with your host, Alan Warren, the RV Wingman.
All right, to stay connected with us on social media, it's easy to do. We wish you would. Just go to YouTube or on Facebook. In the search bar, type in The RV Show USA if you have a show comment or a question. Our 24-hour voicemail is 1-330-WINGMAN. That's 1-330-WINGMAN, and I am the RV Wingman, Alan Warren, doing my level best to steer you to the best RV dealers in the country and help you avoid making some monumental and what could be very costly mistakes. Coming up, we're going to hear from Roger Hurricane Wilson, find out about the medical emergency that has forced him to adjust his concert schedule. We'll run out to a tiny town in California and check in with our friends Jerry and Jeannie Cadre. RV Nana with PPO Motorhomes is going to be here to talk about creating an emergency plan for your RVing and camping trips. And in our After the Show, we got the one and only Gigi Stetler. Yes, we do, with something she's calling the Camping World Challenge. Now, if you know someone who's got their RV stuck in the shop at Camping World, waiting on service work, you will want to hear about the Camping World Challenge. Again, that is on today's After the Show. For our radio listeners, the only place you can catch the After the Show is on YouTube and Facebook. Right? Yeah, right. All right, so let me begin by sharing a recent story about what happened up at our campground. It has to do with tires. Most folks know that blowouts are more common this time of the year in the summer, right? When it's really hot, the heat can take a toll on your tires. Most of us know the importance of keeping your tire pressure at the right level, keeping your tires inflated to the proper PSI, right? Because when you have underinflated tires, that can really put you in a dangerous situation. You're flirting with disaster. But how many of you have ever experienced or even heard of a blowout happening when the tire isn't even moving? For y'all catching the live stream, we're going to bring up some pictures here in a second so you will see what I'm talking about. So up at Big Chief a couple of weeks ago, we have a handful of people that keep their RV with us year-round. They don't live in them, but they have them kind of like a weekend cabin at the lake. This couple has had their travel trailer with us for the last couple of years, in the same spot, maybe 3 years. Never moved, never once. The tires look pretty good. They're not new, but they look good, you know. And it's a tandem axle trailer, so it's got 4 tires on it. So last Saturday, the owner's outside having coffee. All of a sudden, what sounded like a bomb goes off. Kaboom! Turns out one of the tires on his RV just blew up. And I mean, it blew all the way up. Totally unexpected. And it looked perfectly fine before the explosion. So how can a tire just blow up when it's sitting there doing nothing? But it did. Really did. So, well, being the inquisitive guy that the RV Wingman is, I'm going, how can I learn more about this? So I called up our buddy, Mr. Roger Marble. He is the tire engineer that was performing autopsies on tire failures for 40 years in his career. So, Roger, I got a situation I want to run past you. I told him about the blowout. I started telling him the scenario. I told him, the travel trailer, 4 tires parked, blah, blah, blah. And he interrupts me. He goes, I'll bet you, hang on, Alan, I'll bet you that the tire that blew was on the sunny side of that RV. I'm like, how'd you know? And he goes, I'll bet you that it blew up on the top side of the tire, more towards the top of the tire instead of on the bottom of the tire. I'm going, how did you know? Well, evidently, these kinds of blowouts are more common than I even thought of. I'm going to give you the condensed version of what Roger Marble told me. I think that this is very important information for every RVer to understand. Now, the biggest thing to realize that a sitting tire, one that's just sitting there for a long period of time, in this case, more than 2 years, will begin to break down inside literally at the molecular level. Sort of like a crack in your windshield that will start and they'll kind of grow ever so slowly over time. Roger says that the tiny molecular cracks from inside from the sitting tire will grow and grow more and faster as they age, and especially in the hot weather. So that same tire, if it had been driven, evidently, instead of just sitting, the molecular decay would not have been nearly as rapid. Now, that's what he told me. Again, the condensed version of what a tire engineer said is that a sitting tire is not a good thing. So after hearing his explanation, I'm going, you know what? I remember a blowout I had several years ago. I bought this was probably 10 years ago, a 34-foot Avion. You know, one of those classic, beautiful triple-axle Avion travel trailers, been sitting for 5 years. And tires looked real good on it, and they were good for about the first 20 miles. And then I turned that beautiful 34-foot Avion into, boom, one of the tires blew, and it just absolutely destroyed the bottom side, the back passenger bottom side of that the body of that beautiful Avion. So expensive, I could not even afford to get it fixed. So I guess the takeaway here, the gentle nudge for all RVers is if you keep your RV in storage for 6 months or longer, protect those tires. Get those tires out. Get them rotated a little bit because they can and they do occasionally blow, and it's better to have them blow when they're parked in a campground for sure than when you're driving down the road. But just remember, it's important to keep your tires inflated properly to the right PSI and do not overload your RV. It is so easy to do. Safety, 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 folks. And by the way, Roger predicts the other tire on my friend's RV is going to blow up within the next 6 months. We have a link up for y'all watching if you'd like to learn more about RV tires and RV tire safety. I encourage you to check it out. For those listening on our radio station affiliates, the website link is rvtiresafety.net. Again, rvtiresafety.net.
Well, if you're finished with the subject of tires,
I am.
I want to say that people loved the video that you did a couple weeks ago with the left-handed spatulas.
You know, it was pretty funny.
Well,
it was.
When I heard you talking about it, I thought that it was a joke, but it turns out there really is such a thing.
There is. There's left-handed. You want left-handed tires. Goose is wanting left-handed tires. All right. You know what? There are left-handed spatulas. There are left-handed screwdrivers and pencils and cell phones made specifically for left-handed people. All kinds of things. I mean, who knew, right?
It's crazy.
All right, I'm kidding about the left-handed pencils, but there really are left-handed spatulas, everybody. There really are. Well,
I think we got plenty of time for another story. So how about the guy that bought the diesel truck but didn't know about the death?
All right. This is a real quickie, kind of like a head-scratcher, if you will. This guy buys he's got a brand-new fifth wheel, brand-new Ford F-350. It's a diesel. He's got probably 75, 80 grand into it. He's parked in the campground. Somebody walks up and asks what kind of mileage he gets. And he goes, well, I don't know, but I know I can go a long way. I've got a reserve fuel tank if the main tank runs out. What? Never heard of that on a new F-350. Well, it turns out he did not have a reserve fuel tank. What he thought was a backup fuel tank was actually the tank for the DEF. Yeah, the diesel exhaust fluid. He had no idea, none. Had this expensive truck and had no idea. Can you imagine not knowing where the DEF goes? Or even that all new diesels require adding DEF every so many miles? I am, I guess, not making fun of this guy, but I am illustrating how we don't know what we don't know and the need to understand how things work. So to not understand, to not know can be a very bad thing and incredibly costly. Yes, it can.
Well, it really can, but I think that the Janine is coming to Big Chief in a few months, correct?
Yeah, Janine Pettit's going to be there, but that's not till November. She's going to be there with Kate Dunbar from Kate's Curious Kitchen.
I'm going to be up there to taste some of what Kate is going to be cooking.
There we go. Have we got some music going to bump yet? We got another minute to go?
Well, actually, I mean, if we've got another minute, I want to let people know we've got a lot of stuff in the next month or so. We've got people that have never been on the show that are scheduled. So it's going to be really fun to learn their stories and a little bit about them. Yeah,
this show, if you're a first-time listener, first-time viewer, welcome. We appreciate it so much. We try to tell you the good, the bad, and the everything in between of RVing. I'm an RVer. I love it, but I also don't like it when people are taken advantage of, and we try to level the playing field by educating the consumer to some of the tricks and tactics that some of the creepy, sleazy RV dealers may pull on you.
Yes, we do.
All right, let's go ahead and jump for a quick timeout. What do you think? You think? A good idea? All right, when we come back, we're going to see what is happening over in the Golden State, over in California, with our friends Jerry and Jeannie Cadre. Could you imagine having duck for dinner? every night for dinner for more than 2 weeks. Could you imagine that? Goose, you could imagine that. You can imagine just about anything if it has to do with food, right? All right, we're going to find out all about it. And then remember, Gigi Stetler is going to be stirring up the pot with Camping World. Alan Warren here, the RV Wingman, along with Goose, the graphics girl, and you on the RV Show USA. Back after this.